international students, and I also get the honor of planning events like tonight. So this is part of the fun of my job, and I'm just thrilled to see so many of you here joining us. This was a collaborative event, so there were many parties working together to make tonight happen. And so first off, as far as introductions, I would like to ask Yu Zhang to come to the stage. He is CSSA's president, so give a warm welcome for Yu, because CSSA was one of the collaborators for this event tonight.
Hi guys, my name is Yu Zhang, the president of Chinese Students and Scholars Association. It is my great honor to have this guy here, and I would like to say thank you for all of you to come to this great event. So for the last year, we have the same event, but I think that was a totally great event because there were so many students learn a lot from the professionals about how to find a job in the US. Is there anybody want to find a job in the US after graduation? Will you put your hands up? I'm one of you guys. Because I know that finding a job in the US is such a hard job. And I know that some of you are eager to find a job, but probably you will know that it's so hard. So I would like to say it's a great chance tonight to learn how to find a job in the US. And we have so many good guys. I think they will give you guys such a great presentation. I believe you will learn a lot from them. So you guys will have a beautiful night and enjoy the food. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Tonight this is my honor for me and also Stewart to represent the St. Louis Mosaic Project, and we are an intergovernmental collaboration between St. Louis County and also St. Louis City to help attract foreign-born immigrants to St. Louis and help them prosper in St. Louis. And in order to further this goal, we have been working with our universities, our high schools, our corporate, and also our government partners in St. Louis to achieve this goal. And in particular, for example, we have many programs. We have professional programs to help professionals, immigrant professionals, to build their careers in St. Louis. And here, we're working with university partners to help them to attract and also retain international students. And also, we have programs to help educate and motivate employers to attract immigrant talent. And Stewart is working on that project. It is really our honor that you are here, that we might be useful to SLU and also to SLU students and helping you find opportunities in the US and also in St. Louis. And I also have the honor to introduce to you all three of our panelists. We're very honored to have Kathleen, who is Senior Manager at Express Scripts, to be here. Kathleen, thank you. We're also very honored to have Mike, who is the Managing Director from Capestone Headwaters. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you. And then we also have Stewart, who is working with me in the same project. He was formerly the president of Scottrade HK, and he is now the CEO at 59 Year and also a consultant, along with me working for attracting international talents into St. Louis. And Stewart, thank you for your presence. And thank you all, our partners, our students, and also our panelists to be here tonight. And I will head off to Karissa. Thank you.
All right, so the format for this evening is really quite simple. We have three panelists, and we are going to drill them with questions. Just joking, that was a joke. No, we just have a few questions, and we'll be going through each of those, and if each one of you wouldn't mind, if you have something to share, you have a microphone in front of you. I tested it, it works great, so don't be shy. And then at the end of our formal questions, you all will have the opportunity to ask some questions as well. So be thinking as you're listening if there's anything else you would like to ask the group up front. All right, let's get started. So, the first question for this evening, what are the recruitment channels that international students do not tend to be aware of? So we are wanting to hear about some of the recruitment channels that you all are aware of that this group should know about and should be engaging in as they engage in their career search. So whoever wants to kick it off.
I'll go ahead. Is this working?
Hi there, is this working now? Okay, perfect. So one of the recruitment channels, I'll mention a few. One of the recruitment channels that you probably do know, but I will stress its importance, is LinkedIn. We are always, so I work in talent acquisition. I lead the university relations team at Express Scripts. So the duty of my team is really to find students to fill our summer internship program. And one of the first places we look is LinkedIn. So if you don't have a profile on LinkedIn, I would highly encourage you to get on there and make sure it's updated. The second channel I would mention is student groups and organizations like the ones that you belong to now. Recruiters do tend to form relationships with student groups, so we will come in and present at your groups, have you come and do tours at Express Scripts, and that's one way to kind of get in front of and the decision makers at the companies that you're interested in. Number three, and you're probably aware of this, is career fairs and any kind of events like this that happen at the school. Again, another great way to network and meet people from companies that you may not have met otherwise.
Hello, my name is Mike Schumacher. I've been in investment banking for about 20 years, and I haven't really been on necessarily the talent acquisition side or career coaching side, but I have done a lot of recruiting for investment banks, for my practices over the years. And I guess I come at this a little bit more holistically, rather than in discrete channels, which is, I think, very useful to say. I look at it as, think of your three different buckets when you approach the job market. One's the cold bucket, the warm bucket, and the hot bucket. Cold bucket is when you respond online to whether it's Monster or whatever, the folks don't know you, you're dumping your resume in sort of blindly. That's a very low probability channel. So use it, it's great, helps refine your resume. You might need to dump hundreds of resumes to get hits. That's why it's called the cold bucket. It keeps you in the game, keeps you thinking about it. Warm bucket is maybe folks you meet at, networking through your SLU alumni network or at events. Those kind of warm contacts can increase your probability of getting a hit. And then of course the hot bucket is probably where you're going to most likely find a job. Those are very personal contacts, maybe folks you've already known historically or you've got to know very well recently, and they can put you into somebody and you have a very personal touch going into that first interview. Those are the highest probability, I would say, conversion opportunities. And those are the ones you really want to cultivate, make sure you're ready for, find them. But that's how I think about when I go into the market, recruiting or trying to find a job. I think you need all three. And frankly, you don't know where your job's going to come from, but you want to touch all your bases.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Stuart Bradley. I put a business card on everyone's table, so if you want to take a photo of that for reference, you're welcome to. Like Rick said, I consult to the St. Louis Economic Development Partnership, and I also run my own coaching practice. So I specifically focus on helping international talent land here in the United States or North America in their desired job. And my approach to recruitment channels is that we want to make our job as easy as possible for HR to accept us and hire us. Okay, so what are the ways? So another cross-section through this conversation is how do we make it really easy for a company, for HR, to decide, yeah, this is a person for the internship, right? How do we make it easy? And one way we do that is certainly by following up on all the requirements that a company places on us in terms of making a submission, so we don't want to miss deadlines, right? The other thing we do is we reach out to companies and get to know the professionals in that area where we want to work. And another way to say that is networking. When an HR professional sees that you actually have already networked with somebody in the company, that means a couple things. It means you're one level more interested than someone who hasn't. And secondly, if you network with somebody, and they are sending a signal to the HR department saying, hey, we really like this individual, then that HR person's job, so HR, human resources, is generally, my experience is it's a shared service. So a shared service meaning it's servicing many different divisions within a firm, just like, say, the IT department. It provides this core, critical, must-have service to support relationships among employees within the firm, but also making sure that each department has the talent that it needs. And so their job is to make those frontline managers help them do their jobs more effectively, to supply that talent, say, out of the university, right? So that if you're Express Scripts and you're working on, say, merger and acquisitions department or corporate development, you want to have that new talent in there to support that team. Well, if somebody from that team that you network with comes over to HR and says, hey, we really like this person, we'd love to give them an internship, that makes it really easy for HR to bring you on board, okay? So I think an important channel, and Mike has touched on it especially, is networking. And I want to explain it like this. You guys know what media is, like television and stuff like that. And we kind of know what social media is, right? It's media that is social, okay? Well, what is networking? It's interviewing that is social. So if you're reaching out to companies and people in companies and networking with them, don't imagine that they're not evaluating you. There's always an evaluation going on, especially in the context of you're looking for a job. You're not going to walk up to somebody and say, hey, I need a job. No one really wants to have that conversation with you, but they're always happy to help you make more connections. So networking, think of it as social interviewing. You are what you eat, right? You kind of become who what you consume. So if you want to get that job, I would say focus on networking, meeting with the professionals doing the work you want to do. Let it be easy for HR to check the box and bring you on board.
I think that's a great point. If I could just add something, you may be asking yourself, they keep talking about networking. How do I actually get into it? How do I break into and find that one person who's going to kind of help me make those connections? And I'll tell you, you're actually in a really good place. You have connections here on campus that can get you at least a line of sight into some of the companies. So for instance, the faculty members here, your instructors, they're industry professionals themselves, so they probably know people in the industry that they can introduce you to. Career services, that's an obvious one, but I know a lot of people don't take advantage of your connections in career services. They know all of the companies out there and all of the people to get connected to. So just something to think about if you're struggling with who can connect you with the right people.
So I don't know if you guys are natural networkers or not. I wasn't. Definitely coming out of college, and definitely for years after college working, until I went to grad school and was surrounded by a bunch of shameless networkers, did I really I forced myself to network, and really that's how I had to push through, almost becoming shameless. So it might not feel natural at first, and maybe there's a cultural divide, I don't know, but the more you do it, the more natural you'll get at it, and the more effective you'll get at it. So just start doing it, leave your shame at the door, and just start reaching out to folks before you know it becomes second nature.
Thank you guys, that was some great answers for our first question, I love it. Okay, second question for this evening. So the last question we were talking about what are the recruitment channels? This next question is who? Who are the stakeholders and what is the decision-making process for recruitment at your company? So again, who? We're talking about who you all need to be aware of. Who are stakeholders and what is the decision-making process for recruitment at your company?
I'll go ahead and take this one. Since I'm kind of in the thick of it, I work in talent acquisition at Fortune 25 companies. So the stakeholders, there are the obvious stakeholders. So the managers of the teams, obviously they're the ones who make the final decisions on who they're going to hire and not hire. But what I will tell you, and what you may not be thinking of, is that there are many other people who can influence the decision-making of those hiring leaders. So it can be the recruiter. So if you make a good impression on the recruiter, they can then recommend you to the hiring leader. And recruiters can really make a case for you and fight for you if they think you're the right fit. Other people that work at the company could refer you to the company, and that is always a great way to get talent into an organization. If you know somebody that works there that you network with or you know personally, and they can recommend you to the hiring manager, that can be very influential as well. Other leaders within the company that might not be hiring at the time, but have heard about the great work you can do or have seen an example of your skills, can also make recommendations. So don't think that just the hiring manager is the decision maker. There are a lot of other people who can influence that process as well.
So at Capstone Headwaters, it's a little bit different of a business model than a lot of traditional investment banks. I run my own practice here in St. Louis, so I am the stakeholder. I make the hiring decisions, but my entire firm is very important to me. When we win deals and close deals, it's a team effort. So while I may be the ultimate hire and fire decision, I really need everyone at corporate to be signed on to who I hire, because you're going to be working with other folks at the firm. We're very in tune with how we're developing our culture. We're in tune with who we're bringing on. HR is one of the most important functions of a firm like ours. Our capital walks in and out the door every day. We don't have machines or whatnot. It's our people that is our valuable assets. And so we got to make sure we get the right people, develop them, and that's how we typically do it. But at larger investment banks, it can feel like a more of a structured process. Go to the event. You got to meet the gatekeeper, who's the HR individual, and then of course from there on, everyone has to be at yes to ultimately get you in the door.
Those are great comments, and especially that last one that Michael just made, everyone has to be a yes. Did you guys catch that one? So the decision-making process for really large firms, very structured. So Express Scripts is a structured process. They have a fixed start and end point to the recruiting. As far as I know, I haven't tried to get a job at Express Scripts, but that's my understanding of large companies. And I have worked with clients who have wanted to get into a large company after the recruiting process has ended, and even with really great connections, it's usually still a no, because that process is ended. Now, if that person happens to be part of a family that is very socially connected with, say, the leaders of that firm, that might be a different situation, but generally speaking, for 99% of the time, if you miss that fixed start and end at a large company for recruiting, it's not an option. For smaller firms, you have the advantage of a couple of things. With a smaller firm, you don't have such rigid policies because you have a more flexible environment because you have to be more flexible. And the structure is more simple. So in addition to being able to maybe walk into a company and meet with the CEO much more easily with a private company that maybe does $100 million a year in business, that kind of thing is harder to do with a multinational company that's publicly listed that is doing billions of dollars a year in business. So stakeholders, it all has to be a yes. And so when you think about HR, the HR folks have to check the box, so to speak, and especially, as was shared, the managers over that business have to also want to have you on board. And typically people get together and they take a half day or a full day or a couple days, bring every one of those finalists, the the resumes in the room, they close the door, they have a discussion with each person. And either say yes, it's all yes, or it's a no. My experience recently working with one of my clients is that as an international student, she got to the end of her phone screening, and the HR professional found out that she was an international student. And the policy that's been handed to the HR team is that we don't hire international students. Now, not every firm has that policy, but this firm does. And the power of networking, to bring it back to networking, is that I said, okay, Louise, you've gotten this no from the HR person. Let them know that you're not looking for a job, you're looking for an internship. Let them know that you're not looking for sponsorship because you have CPT. Let the networking contact at the firm know that this is a situation. And with that power of having somebody in the firm as a networking contact, she was brought back into the interviewing process. So it's not the case that HR professionals don't want to have talented international people, but there is a process that needs to be followed. Okay? Now that process is there for a reason, so that we can help the company run efficiently. We can't blame HR professionals or companies for having processes and systems to keep the talent acquisition process efficient. But there are ways that we can use our networking and our relationship development to become that person that is outstanding, that goes above and beyond to be the one that does get the offer. So stakeholders can be the manager on the front line of the business. A stakeholder is also the HR department. Also think about customers of the business. If you're talking about working at a company and you happen to have networked with a significant customer of the business or a significant supplier of the business, don't be surprised if you really make a deep impression that that company, supplier, or customer will come to the company and put in a good word for you. Now, that is also a stakeholder, a significant customer or supplier.
Awesome. I really appreciate all those comments. I'm learning so much up here. I hope you all are too. All right, so this next question, we'll move right along. This really connects the purpose of this session with all of you. If you are here today, you are an international student. You're here on an F1 or a J1 visa, and you have opportunities like OPT or CPT, right? Those give you, just as Stuart was talking about, opportunities to connect with businesses right here in St. Louis to do an internship or to get a job. So the next question is this: how can international students network within the company to increase their likelihood of being recruited?
That's a good question. So I'll relate it back to the work that I do now. So I cannot tell you how many emails I get from directors and VPs at my company that say, hey, I met this student at an event that I was at, or this student reached out to me through LinkedIn and I've been having a conversation with them, and I'd like you to see if you can take the conversation further. So you can actually get to the higher levels of a company through events like this, events through student organizations, and like I mentioned, LinkedIn. I wouldn't be afraid to reach out, do a search on LinkedIn, companies you're interested in, the departments that you're interested in, and actually just reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your organization. Here's a little bit about me, and then start that dialogue. But you do have to be proactive in starting it. You definitely can't wait for somebody to tap you on the shoulder. You have to kind of drive that networking. But I will tell you, I do get a lot of requests from people very high up in the company asking me to speak with students and see if I can find them a place. So that's where I think you can start.
So on this question, it kind of rolls into what my general advice would be for y'all. So first of all, it's a self-discovery process trying to find a job. You get told no more than you get told yes. You know, you learn about how you deal with adversity. Do you like it? Can you deal with it? Do you just want to go home and curl up and die? I mean, you learn a lot through a job search, but it's not fun. You know, it's hard work. So given it is sort of a self-discovery process, start early, because something you think you might want to do you might end up saying, hey, no way would I want to work with those kind of people. So start early, have a little extra time, because you know you don't know exactly where you're going to end up. The second thing is, whatever you're doing today, do 5 times more. You're not doing enough, I guarantee it. Even if you're doing a lot, you're still not doing enough. It's hard to get jobs, even in a good economy. So whatever you're doing today, multiply times 5. And some of y'all might need to multiply by 7 or 10. I'm telling you, it's hard to get a job, even in a good economy, even if you're the best student. So their jobs will not come to you. You have to go to them. So pick up whatever you're doing, reach out to 5 times more people, send out 5 times more resumes than what you're doing. If it's 100 today, do 500 tomorrow. The third thing is, this is going to be the best economy that you're ever going to see to get a job in the U.S. We've been waiting for this economy for 9 years, okay? This is the best time. So get in, get your job today, and protect it. Because in 2 years down the road, or 3 years down the road, last in is going to be first out. So you better protect that job once you get it. That's all I got.
Did you guys get that? Michael also wove in some accounting for us, last in, first out, you know, LIFO, accounting, FIFO, first in, first out, last in, first out, right? This is the best economy ever. So this is the chance, this is the time. The challenge of being an international student, or being any student really, is we think that, you know, we've acquired this platform to get a job. We're in school now. So, and then there's a phrase that I think about in Chinese a lot, which is 酒香不怕巷子深, right? Which, thank you. And I'll translate that, which basically means fragrant wine. So imagine a really nice wine. Fragrant wine fears no dark alley. So a wine, so imagine like a beautiful wine, nicely aged. The idea is that it's so fragrant that no matter where it is, even in a dark alley, it will be found. And you will find it and drink it. And this is what a lot of people, maybe they don't think about it, but this is how they conduct their job search. They say, well, you know, I've got this great undergraduate degree that I'm pursuing, or I've got these great grades. Someone's going to find me and hire me. It doesn't work that way. In fact, it often works that people with lesser talents and lesser skills get hired because their marketing is better, because they're more out there. So how to network within a company to increase the likelihood of being recruited? Show up at events. You know, Woody Allen has this quote. Woody Allen is a famous playwright, and he was a mentor to a lot of junior people who wanted to write plays and novels. And his advice was, you gotta show up, you gotta write it. 80% of life and success in life is showing up. So even if it's not pretty, maybe you still, I mean, I've spilled coffee on people before, right, in networking events, right? I've done embarrassing things, right? Eventually you figure out how to hold the coffee a little bit better the next time, right? And so it's a process of getting better and better. When I worked so I used to work at UBS Securities in Beijing, and I was responsible for receiving piles and piles of resumes from, you know, the famous universities like Tsinghua and Beijing. Just piles and piles of them, right? And no one had ever come to network with me. No one did. So when I eventually sat down, so HR had passed on their resumes to me, and I met with them for 20 minutes, and none of them really left a deep impression. I had to fill out a form and give it back to HR. I didn't really have the opportunity to say this. A couple of people stood out as being really, really interesting, and I said so. But what if someone had actually networked with me and reached out to me? What if they had gone to a sports event and met me? What if they had gone to a party and met me? We often think that these opportunities are going to come to us, but they won't. So what's happening on SLU this month? What's happening at SLU this month where you guys could meet with a company? Have you met with the career services teams to identify that information and go? Where every Thursday there's At CIC, there is the Venture Cafe every Thursday. Probably heard about that before. Are you going to those events? Some people nodded their heads, some people, yeah, okay. Are you going to Venture Cafe every Thursday from 4 to 6? Now, these are opportunities where people are looking for deals, right? They're not looking always to hire people, but these are companies, they're companies, they're representing companies, large and small. So, how can you network within a company to increase the likelihood of being recruited? I think first, it begins with picking focus. How to network with a company to increase the likelihood of being recruited? First of all, you have to have a goal. You have to have a list of target companies. If you haven't come to your job search with a list of target companies and people that you want to meet within those companies, you haven't even started your job search. It's not like osmosis or Brownian motion where we're just going to kind of randomly bump into people, right? On one hand, we want to be open to the spontaneous networking event that happens and meet somebody and get their car. At the same time, we want to systematically reach out to companies through LinkedIn, through other means to get on people's radars and then follow up. And the thing about networking is that it's not just touching somebody one time. Oh, I sent them a LinkedIn request to connect. Has anyone gotten a job just by connecting with somebody on LinkedIn? No. It's a process of making the connection, then having a phone call, then meeting for coffee. Typically, it takes between 7 and 20 times of having a touch point with somebody for there to be a relationship that gets established so they know you, feel comfortable, and want to bring you in for an interview.
Yeah, so I want to augment what Stuart just said. So we're focusing a lot on the front end, on how you get the leads, and what do you do once get the resumes out, etc. But what do you do once you get that interview, and when you're sitting in front of a decision maker or whatnot? And the irony of that is that your resume really doesn't matter at that point. It's important. You'll talk about it. It's stuff people want to hear about, how you deliver it. But the reality is, once you get into that interview with somebody, it's about poise, presence, and charisma. And every single one of you, even if you're new to the workforce or you're new to the job search, you have some form of poise, presence, and charisma. You got to figure out how to tap into that, so when you're in that awkward situation, very structured interview situation, that's coming out. And that's really how you, I think, ultimately land a job. Is in that interview, you're conveying your poise, your presence, and your charisma. And that's what folks want to see once you're in that room.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. All right, and gals. All right, so final question, and then we'll leave a little bit of time at the end for some question and answer. So that means if there are any questions in the crowd, we'll bring mics around and you'll have the opportunity to ask our panelists. We'll probably just do 2 to 3 of those. But just kind of wrapping up this formal question portion, any final words? What might be your words of advice to international students? You guys have already given such good advice, but is there any lingering thoughts that you would just want to leave these students with tonight?
I would say, not just for international students, but for all students, I look at everything through a human resources, kind of talent acquisition lens. And I know that when we're looking to hire interns, the one thing that we're really looking for, no matter what your major is or no matter what department we're looking to hire in, we're looking for a certain mindset. So somebody who can come in to the organization with a fresh set of eyes, take a look at the way we do things now, and make recommendations on how to improve upon our processes. That's what we really value, no matter what team you're going on. So I would recommend kind of thinking about having that mindset and examples of times that you've done that in the past. Because I think if you do make it into the networking or even the interview stage, it's that type of mindset that is really going to make you stand out amongst your peers who might have similar educational and work experience that they do.
Yeah, I know so I've pretty much used up all my best stuff already, so I don't have that much more to add. But yeah, you got to figure out who's hiring international, who's not, and then it doesn't matter what you figure out. If they're hiring international, you just got to be the best person you are. Be yourself. Figure out what works for you. You got to be genuine. Inauthenticity will come through no matter what. Figure out what works for you and let it shine, and that will be your best self. That's how you get hired.
Words of advice. I'd say words of advice for anybody looking for a job is really care about two things. We care about generating interviews, because if you can't do that, you can't get good at it, you can't get the offer. Generating interviews, and then having the coffee chats and the networking that lead to interviews. I'm not saying ignore online applications. We have to respect all of the policies and processes of the firms. But it's those two things. It's generating interviews and generating the coffee chats that lead to the interviews. Okay? And networking is social interviewing. Just like social media is media that is social. So that's one concept. The other is we are what we eat, right? You become what you consume. So if you are consuming every day schoolwork and exams, you become basically a bunch of ideas about schoolwork and exams. And if you want to become a banker, or if you want to become an HR professional, or if you want to become a scientist, you want to consume conversations with investment bankers. You want to consume conversations with HR professionals. You want to consume conversations with scientists, so that you learn the language, you learn the lingo, and that's how you become one. Okay? So what are you consuming now? Think about it. In terms of your day, you have 24 hours in the day. Humans, we all share 24 hours in the day. You have 8 hours to sleep. How many of you sleep for 8 hours? Probably not. We have 8 hours to what? Work, do our homework, eat. We have another 8 hours in the day. How are we using our time? How are you using your time? And are you consuming the types of conversations, the wholesome, good, nourishing conversations that lead you to where you want to go? So I'm going to leave that with a question that you can go back and think about.
Which is perfect because, in the Jesuit institution, we're all about reflection. So I do hope that all of you will be kind of reflecting on these thoughts and thinking about one or two things that you can really put into practice coming from this session. But before we wrap up, I'm going to have a couple of my volunteers, if you want to head up, or one of them, yep, okay, and grab one of the microphones. Sorry, panelists, you'll have to share. And we're just going to open up this time for some questions from the group. So if you have a question, raise your hand, and if one or two of you would weigh in on these questions, we'll go ahead and wrap things up in this way. All right. Okay, so if you could share your name, your major, and then state your question.
Hi, I am Elisa Nungil. My major is Master's in Bioinformatics. And today it's like a great pleasure to hear something about the human interest process from you guys. So we heard something about LinkedIn, but we didn't hear anything about Indeed and Glassdoor. So are there like group channels to like put our CVs and like apply through them? Or no?
I'll take that one. So, yes, I think Glassdoor, is good for a couple of different reasons. You can look for jobs on Glassdoor, but you can also do research about the company on Glassdoor, so you can read all of the reviews. You can look at salaries. There's so much information on Glassdoor, so it's good for that purpose. Indeed is a job board. You kind of post your resume there. Companies use it, but it's not a main channel of finding people. LinkedIn is a little bit different because it's a social site. So on LinkedIn, you can really share a lot about yourself, your professional self, and kind of tell a story about yourself. What's also really cool about LinkedIn is that when recruiters go onto LinkedIn to search for people, they search by keyword. So you want to make sure that in your LinkedIn profile, you are putting in keywords that relate to the major or to the position that you're looking for. But those 3 sites, they kind of serve different purposes. They're not all the same, if that makes sense.
So I'm trying to build out my team in St. Louis. I just opened the office here for Capstone Headwaters in January 2017. I need a VP, an associate, maybe an analyst. Our firm is using one of these sites. It's absolutely brutal. I can't stand it. I stopped looking at them. You know, and that's not to be discouraging, but my point is that, you know, someone who's looking to hire somebody, these sites are dumping in so many resumes that are not targeted towards what I want. It puts, hey, use them. Make sure that's not the only mechanism that you're trying to get in front of folks, because you probably have a very specific skill set, and you know the people who are going to value you. So make sure you're going direct to them as opposed to indirectly through these other systems. These, I almost call them third-party systems, because as a hirer, I'm turned off. Like it's too much. It's too much stuff that's not relevant, and this is from a firm that's pretty good at recruiting and pretty good at trying to target folks. It's using one of these sites. I'm only going direct to folks that say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. You know, I want people like this, and I only have so much time in a day to interview. I can only really hire or look at 5 slots of high quality folks for a slot. And so try to find ways to go more direct.
Thank you. All right, we'll take another question. Yep.
Hi, I'm Rio Fabriano from, I'm a 5th-year PhD student in the chemistry department. I have a question kind of about the shameless networker and kind of the coffee conversation combo. So basically, like, do you guys have any best practices for, you know, to be shameless networker from your perspective? And who are these people that land the coffee meetings with you?
Well, so I think this is just general maybe life advice. You know, the things where I've learned the most is where I felt the most uncomfortable. And if you're out of your comfort zone, it means you're probably stretching yourself, you're learning. And networking isn't like, we're born to network. Maybe some folks are, they're kind of scary. If you're born to just network, it's kind of scary. So if you're, you know, just the more you do it, the more natural you'll get. You'll get your routine down. You'll know your approach. You'll know who, you know, you like to warm up with and then work up towards. But you should go into, if you're going to a session, maybe even think before you walk in, what is your goal? Who do you want to meet? How many folks? And how you're going to get there. Keep it easy. Like, I want to meet 3 new folks. I'll start with the junior person and middle person, work my way up to a senior person. Set simple goals for each event and try to accomplish them, but know you're going to feel awkward and know that's part of it.
That's awesome. Those are awesome comments. Couple more things. So, networking. There's a cool phrase in English which I think applies here. Okay, and that is that if you ask for a job, you'll get advice. If you ask for advice, you'll get a job. So the one thing to be aware of when you're networking is being considerate. When people are agreeing to meet with you, they want to help you, right? And if you come to them and turn that into an interview, that kind of turns people off. So there's 2 things you want to do when you're networking. You want to get to know the person. And if that's all you do, that's okay. Get to know the other person. And then you want to expand your professional network. Everybody knows you're networking because you want a job, trust me. Right? You're not just going there just to have a cup of coffee. That person's not coming there because they have a caffeine deficit and they need the coffee. Right? So they're meeting because they want to help you. And it's not going to be that every person you email or LinkedIn or text or whatever, or, you know, they're not all going to say yes. And that's actually a good thing, because the way I teach it, we actually want to really only focus on the people that are interested in talking to us, right? So they're actually doing us a favor by removing themselves out of the discussion. Now, some people you want to follow up on and be persistent, but I'd say that If you ask for a job, you'll get advice, you won't get a job. If you ask for advice, you'll get a job at some point. Okay, so be aware of that nuance. And then don't turn networking meetings into interviews. The last thing that you should do when you talk to anybody is send them a resume. Doesn't that sound crazy? It's true. We want to put resumes into online application portals, and when someone asks for a resume, I think that's appropriate. But if someone's meeting with you to network with you, they're not looking to turn this into. No one wants to interview anybody. No one wants to network. Networking isn't always the most comfortable thing. But so especially in social situations like parties, I'll talk about that in a second. But when you're meeting with somebody, have a forward focus to your conversation and reduce the barriers to somebody helping you. If you can come to a networking meeting with specific things that you want to come out of that meeting, specific advice, you're reducing the barrier to that person guessing how they can help you. Don't make the person guess. Have a focus. And then for social events, like networking events, okay, maybe it's not the most comfortable thing to do. Make it a plan to collect 3 to 5 business cards and then leave. Make it a game. Okay, just make it a game and enjoy it. Typically, students come as a pack. They kind of hang out at the snack place for an hour and then they leave. Don't go with your friends. If you do go with your friends, make it a game. You can get those business cards. Meet up at the end of the event. Okay, make it a game. There's a lot more there. We can't cover everything about networking in an hour. I could speak about this for weeks. So there's a lot of good stuff there. So hopefully you're taking notes.
I would echo those thoughts and just add something. I know the hardest part of networking for me is actually getting the conversation started. So walking up to somebody and starting it. And I think one thing you can do to prepare for that is have almost an elevator speech about yourself. Because one thing I've noticed is the hardest question to answer is, so tell me a little bit about yourself. So if somebody asked you that, what would you say? Do you have 3 or 4 things that you would say about yourself? I don't know if I do. But that could be a good way to start the conversation.
And I gotta add this. This is still, guys, we're dealing with people, so we're all people, so just use common sense too. It's not, I mean, we're talking about all these structures and resumes and jobs and what's the right answer. We're all just people at the end of the day. Use some common sense, use some common social skills sense at the end of the day. You know, it's just, people are still just people, so treat them as such.
Okay, we'll do one last question and then we'll wrap up. I know, so many questions. They have so much good advice. We could be here all night. Okay, who are you? What's your major and what's your question?
Hi guys, my name is Natasha. I'm a grad student at the public health school here. I'm doing my master's in healthcare administration. Thank you for coming here. It's an interesting perspective to have. As an international student, navigating HR is a little difficult. But thanks for answering all of our questions. I do have one for you. I think Stuart mentioned the Venture Cafe at CFP, and I had a question about that. We've been there for our class event before, and networking with relevant people is important. But at the same time, you also tend to strike up a lot of conversations. Suppose I went up to someone and we started a conversation, I want to know about them, and it turns out they're not in my relevant industry, but I don't want to be rude or dismissive, but I'm also keeping in mind that I have a time constraint, and I do need to network with other people. How would you go about respectfully saying, just conveying that you might want to cut that conversation short and move on?
Hey, it's really great to meet you. I'm going to keep networking.
I need a new drink.
Yeah.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm thirsty. Great to meet you. Bye-bye. I've been at that event too. My office is down there, and so I'm a mergers and acquisition banker. I cover industrials and manufacturing companies. You know, those are old, dusty, crusty companies. They don't go to Venture Cafe. So when I go to Venture Cafe, I'm not going there necessarily in my mind to network per se, to find the next business opportunity. I go there just to meet people and in my mind have a couple beers, enjoy myself, and who knows, maybe I'll hit something. But I would categorize that as a sort of a cold bucket, right? I'm not thinking that's going to be, the place I get, the next hot lead. When I speak at business owner conferences, when there's 40 business owners in the room, that's a hot bucket. That's not a cold bucket. So just think in your mind what's what, and it might take some time to figure out what is what. So Venture Cafe is a different animal.
I would also add that, it's fine to say, hey, interesting conversation, it was great to meet you, let's stay connected. And then stay connected, because you never know when things are gonna come full circle and that person that you thought wasn't in your industry 2 years from now is a leader in the industry that you're interested in, or could connect you with somebody. So there's no harm in staying connected to the people that you meet.
In this town, so I spent 15 years in Manhattan, 5 years in China. I was born and raised here, went to St. Louis U High for undergrad, for high school. Moved back a couple years back, and I am shocked at how small this town is. It is tiny. So even if you think you might be talking to someone you don't, doesn't seem like a directly relevant to what you're looking for, chances are they know someone that might know someone in this town. I mean, it's unbelievably small, and it's kind of scary small.
Yeah, I'd say that at a networking event like that, everyone has come to network, and everyone wants to have multiple conversations. So if in your mind you come to a point where you're thinking, I've probably said everything I want to say at this point, then it's entirely appropriate to, very nicely as was just expressed, you didn't feel offended when it was said like that, right? A very nice warm tone, thank you for meeting, let's stay in touch. Look forward to that. I'm going to keep, you can say, I'm going to keep mingling, I'm going to keep networking. Have a great evening. Enjoy our conversation. And then just keep networking. Right? And the other thing about networking is if you come with, how many times have you come to a situation with a lot of expectation about the outcome and it hasn't worked out so well? If you come to these events and situations with a lot of expectation, then you're going to generally be disappointed. Oh, I didn't meet my dream job at Venture Cafe, right? So Mike's going there to respond to his beer deficit, right? He's not going there because he has to close a deal, right? He's going there to enjoy himself and meet people, right? It's not about, hey, it's just having a beer and being, meeting people. It's nice. It's a nice change of pace after doing whatever you've done all day long, right? So if you come to those things with a lot of expectation, that'll probably make it less pleasant. Come with an open mind. Go to networking events without a lot of expectation that this person should or should not do something for you. You want to make it easy for them to do something for you to help you, but don't come with that expectation. And keep mingling. There's nothing wrong with having a 2 or 3 minute conversation or 5 minutes and then moving on. Just get comfortable doing that. Do more of it.
I see you, Seema, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut this off. Perhaps our panelists will be around if they have time and you have some other questions that you can ask them after we kind of close out here. One final kind of just thing to share with this group as you're all here interested in networking and career search is on the mind. How many of you, just a show of hands, have heard of an app called InterStride? All right, 50%. Okay, well we're going to change that tonight. 100% of you have now heard of InterStride. InterStride was actually purchased by the Career Services Office here at SLU just this past spring, and it is specifically for international students to help you on your career search. Now I have to admit, I went to a meeting to kind of like learn about the app, and I came in with very low expectations. Sometimes if you keep your expectations low, then you're pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. It actually is a pretty cool app, and it's also interconnected with a lot of the other platforms that we talked about tonight. And so I would encourage you to go ahead, download the app. It gives you information like which companies have worked with students to apply for H-1Bs. Now, that's not saying that you should only focus on those companies, but I think it is a good indicator of which companies are open to international students. Does that make sense? So again, if you haven't heard of InterStride. If you haven't downloaded InterStride, download it. And if you would like to talk more about the app and its capability, myself or another international advisor in the Office of International Services would be happy to meet with you to talk more about that. That's all we have. Can we just give a huge round of applause for our panelists? We appreciate you all so much.
And likewise for Rick and Karissa for putting this whole thing together and bringing us all together.
This was by far one of the most insightful panels that I've gotten to listen in on in a really long time. And so we're just very honored that you all took part of your evening to be with us tonight. So thank you so much. I know our students really enjoyed it. At this point, you all are dismissed. Feel free to stick around, talk with one another, share about maybe one or two things that really stood out to you this evening, and maybe one action item that you're going to put into practice moving forward. And again, thank you for being here. Have a wonderful evening, and continue to come out for events for International Education Week. Thanks so much.